Well, hi, everybody. Thanks for joining this cybersecurity discussion concerning a real life story, ransomware attack from a past client and how it was mitigated. Thanks everybody for joining. I'm Joe Rafanelli. I am a director of technical solutions here at Microsoft. At Microsoft, we are an IT solutions provider. We are headquartered in Bedminster, New Jersey. Super excited to discuss this topic with Scott, Microsoft's Chief Security Officer. We have Todd here with us as well. He's Microsoft's Senior Security Consultant. And we have a special guest here, Andrew. He's from a shipping and transportation company. Gentlemen, thanks so much for taking the time to talk about this real life cybersecurity event.
Thanks for having us here today, Joe. And I'll just make a quick introduction. Andrew's company has been a client of ours for well over 16 to 18 years, and Andrew is now the senior IT director. And he had a cybersecurity event, a ransomware event. I think he could probably do some justice to it by maybe sharing the experience a little bit with us, Andrew, if you don't mind. I'm going to hand it off to you, and
So to that end, so Andrew, go ahead and let us know about the synopsis and what took place. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. So like most of these things, they never happen during working hours. So, you're at home and you get a call from a frantic end user saying, all their files are gone or their systems aren't working. And you start working on that problem first. And then while you're talking to them, you get 3, 4, 5 more phone calls and you realize it's an actual event. So, the first thing you do, first thing we did was we checked our external connections. So our website, webmail, they both were down. And then you start to panic a little bit. Luckily, our VPN was still up, so we were able to VPN on and then check our internal servers. And the first thing you notice is all your files are encrypted. So this is an actual event. So after that, after deciding that it was a real event, you go ahead and we started shutting down some core servers that hadn't been affected yet, and then start driving into the office. On the drive-in, called up Todd and gave him a overview of the situation. And we started our plan. We had a good incident response plan ready that I had worked with Todd and Scott with already. And so Todd and I started that incident response plan, got Scott involved, and then started to troubleshoot.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. And as Andrew said, one of the key things that was just, I think, saved our lives really was the fact that we had already helped Andrew implement a disaster recovery and incident response plan that was specific to his business, his environment. We had also worked with Andrew a few years before actually to implement and put in a disaster recovery as a service solution, which really at the end of the day was what got us back online, and I'm going to let Todd talk a little bit about that as well as kind of the steps as to what happened next, so Todd engaged with Andrew, and Andrew got to the office. And I think, I'll let Todd tell you a little bit about the story and just kind of the steps of kind of the forensic steps, and then, taking it forward ultimately into resolution.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Yeah, I'll just give everybody a rundown on, how the incident played out from my end. So as Andrew said, he was the first one to get calls about the incident. He then calls us in on it. We head into the office to start going over everything. We end up finding that the malicious activity actually came in on a VPN account. We shut that VPN access down immediately. Once we knew that was coming from an external source and not an internal source, we reached out to the ISP who provides an SD-WAN solution for Andrew's company. We had them shut down and quarantine good parts of the network so that we could keep them from talking to each other and, having any spread laterally through the network or, external sources being able to get in. Once they had that perimeter and our lateral movement locked, we then, while we had them on the line, requested some key event logs that would be used for forensics later down the road, so that ISP could start putting together all of that for us. when we were on site, we went into Andrew's DR disaster recovery appliance that was previously put in. We had found that that appliance was actually attacked and compromised as well. So there was even attack on the backup and disaster recovery service. Luckily, the service we have has offsite replication as well. When we found out that appliance was attacked, we reached out to the DRAS vendor. This vendor was very quick to respond, very quick to put all hands on deck with us. And us as a partner with the DRAS company, we had non-for-sale DRAS equipment, available to us that we took out on site, got set up, and started separate backups of the environment just as a further protection, so that as we dug into this and started bringing things online, we had multiple points of recovery and options available to us. From there, we started to bring back up some critical local services that had not been attacked or damaged in the previous attack. From there, we were able to start rebuilding some VMs manually from scratch, reattach some virtual drives, did some analysis on them so that they weren't running live data, started stepping through that whole incident response plan. While we were doing all of this, the DRAS vendor was working on our appliance side. They were able to then provide us with a clean appliance that they were able to restore. That then allowed us to completely follow our DR and backup plan. And so we were able to just then start stepping through that DR backup plan and get our critical production systems back online, because in the incident response and DR plans that we previously had outlined, we knew which systems were critical to bring those production systems back online. So that was kind of the synopsis of, how the entire event rolled out and what steps we had to take.
Yeah, and like Todd said, a key to a successful backup and recovery without having to pay a ransom or deal with the people who attacked you was to have an effective, well thought out and tested plan.
Yeah, I just can't say that enough. I mean, I know we seem to keep coming back to that, but that is just really a key factor in getting through an event such as this. The entire system was destroyed and down and encrypted, and they couldn't operate their business. And just having everything thought through, tested, as Andrew said, proper regimen in place, that we were able to execute. Andrew was obviously very stressed, so when you're in these moments of stress like this, if anybody's ever been in that, they kind of know that, you kind of lose your thought. It's, what am I thinking here? And then, if you have a good plan to execute from, you take a look at that and it tells you the next step. It's pretty much a playbook, and that playbook, if it's written right, it's written tailored to your environment and to your business. You're being proactive versus being reactive. And that really is just a key. That was a key role player in this. We had a great team, but the team had the right tools too. So
Scott, you would think that those were the critical steps? Because I was going to ask you about the critical components. I'm pretty sure you just pretty much mentioned that. So, okay. So what, to all you guys, what do you think helped the recovery be successful?
Well, we acted and executed as a team, right? Nobody stepped over each other. We went to the playbook. We knew what everybody was supposed to be doing. Todd handled the technology side of it quickly, flawlessly. Andrew handled assisted in the technology side, but also did, manage the operations pieces of this, and, worked with the communications back to his senior management, and made sure that the business got back up and running, which was Andrew's key goal there, was to get the, as you said, they're a transportation firm. So getting them running again, getting the wheels rolling, so to speak. So that was Andrew's job. And then, just taking oversight of what we were doing. So we executed as a team. It was completely awesome.
Yeah, from my side of things, it was all about having, those right tools and the right technology available to us. Without those tools and technology put in ahead of time of this event, the outcome could have been, drastically different and a much larger issue.
Yeah, and I'd say there are many important things that need to be in place to when a cybersecurity event happens. But I think the most important thing is having the right people in place. Having a team that you trust to take over when you are super stressed out. You work 12, 14 hours straight. And at one point, you start seeing you start seeing things or start doing goofy things. So having a team where you can just sit back, say, "Hey, I need a break. Can you guys take over?" And that's exactly what happened. And those important people that you can trust really help.
Andrew, that makes perfect sense. So having Scott and Todd on your team sounds very beneficial to any kind of future attacks. So, guys, what was the lesson learned here for this attack?
Yeah, that's a good question, Joe.
Hmm.
So obviously, we dwelled on the fact that we had a good plan, a good
Sure.
action plan. We had the right tools, the right technologies, but there's also the lesson learned that come from these things, right? So this was, as Andrew said, you can test your recovery processes, but we put this into play, and there's always lesson learned, and the lesson learned here, I think, was, senior management. At times they didn't really tell us no, but there's costs associated with implementing more stringent policies and solutions, and throwing more technical protection in front of this. So the lessons learned that we had were twofold. One, us as a team, we said, hey, look, a good set of policies, enhancing the set of policies already in place. So we had the opportunity to do that and kind of make those even a little more in depth, and get those out in front of the users, and get the users aware of how to better help us protect the environment, because the users have a big play in this too. So that's kind of a lesson learned, or where you can step up a little bit. And then we also had the opportunity to put in more robust solutions. They were already using multi-factor authentication, but we said, gosh, we just need to really roll this out everywhere and anywhere that we can without inhibiting some legacy application. And then putting in, an MDR, XDR solution that does more of the threat management, threat intelligence, on a daily grind, to kind of help Andrew in his daily grind, throw a technology out there that kind of starts to look for the bad guys potentially coming in, and alerting him, even more proactively than we were. So I think some of those are some of the lessons learned. And then, unfortunately, Joe, these things happen, and a company says, yeah, we'll get to it. But then, when these situations happen, that's when the lesson learns kind of come in, and some of the new solutions come into play here. So those are that's kind of the silver lining in a bad event.
No, it makes sense. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're at the point where we're going to get some questions from the audience here. If folks, if you have a question, go ahead and put those on the chat bot there, and I'll read them out, and we'll get them answered right away.
So I see we have a couple of coming in now.
Yeah.
Yeah. What post-attack procedures did you follow? Did you involve law enforcement or a security firm for the investigation? I think, Andrew, I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah, so we have our own law enforcement here, and we notified them, and they work through their channels.
Okay.
I see another question.
Let's see coming up here. Okay, so was any sensitive data compromised during the attack, and how did it affect your business operations?
Yeah, so we did have data and that was extracted, but because of our data policies, none of it was sensitive.
Again, proactivity kind of helped there.
Yep.
for some reason the chat's it's not showing me on the chat, but I think I have another one here. Based on your experience, what preventative measures have you taken to ensure this attack doesn't happen again in the future?
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Okay.
So, as we kind of said earlier, we put in, we enhanced our usage of multi-factor authentication. So we tightened access controls, obviously. We came in with, managed detection response solution, which also helped, Andrew now more automatedly, in a more automated fashion, be able to see the network and kind of look at what's going on, and maybe, just odd things that may look, not normal on the network, and alerting Andrew to be able to make a decision as to whether or not is that a threat actor, or is that just, some sort of an event that's not normal, but it's not hurting anything. It's some application that's doing a process that's not normally seen on the network. And then, again, just enhancing overall cybersecurities and user awareness.
Okay. That makes sense. I don't see any other questions. Give it a couple seconds here. Okay. Well, guys, thanks so much. Thanks, Scott, Todd, and Andrew, for your time and sharing this very serious cybersecurity attack. Guys, by sharing the story, you're helping others, be aware of cybersecurity risks and to be forthcoming, with preventative measures to minimize attacks, minimize occurrences. For folks out there, if you'd like Scott and Todd to be on your side for the next one, for any attacks in the future or anything for risk, for anything to do with cybersecurity, risk assessment is what we do. Policies and procedures, awareness training, management service programs, threat intelligence and continuous monitoring, disaster recovery and incident response management, and then lastly, vulnerability assessment and management. So if any of those topics make sense or you want to talk a little bit more about that, go ahead and let us know. But for right now, if there's any other questions, let us know. You can see my contact information there. Reach out to Macrosoft on our website. And like I said, the contact information is there. And I want to thank the folks that joined, and we'll be talking again next time. Thank you guys so much for the
Thank
time.
you, everybody.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye now.